José Cordeiro, welcome to join us here at Swiss Future webinar Impulse. Let me introduce you to my friends here. You were born in Caracas, Venezuela, from Spanish parents. They emigrated from Madrid during the Franco dictatorship. You obtained a Bachelor of Science and a Master of Science degrees in Mechanical Engineering at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, in the USA. You later studied international economics and comparative politics at Georgetown University in Washington. And you obtained a Master of Business Administration of the INSEAD in Fontainebleau in France, majoring in finance and globalization. Jose, you started your career as a petroleum extension engineer. Later, you were a business and strategy consultant with focus on finance, but well known to us and to me are you as a futurist, an enthusiastic futurist, we would say, and you have so many titles and rewards that I will not be able to tell all of them, but I just want to mention that you are an international fellow of the World Academy of Arts and Sciences. You're the executive director of the Ibero-American Futurists Network. You are the Venezuela Nod Chair of the Millennium Project. You're Vice Chair of Humanity Plus, and you are a former director of Club of Rome Venezuela chapter. And then you also, among many others, a member of the World Transhumanist Association. And now you are lecturing all over the world, and you were also a keynote speaker at the European Futurist Conference in Lucerne. This was in the year of 2009. I was organizing this conference, and you were talking about the concept of singularity, where you stated that in a not too distant moment, we will have singularity, meaning when artificial intelligence overtakes the capabilities of human mind. It's the point when we are going to merge with machines. We see you have been since many years a very true transhumanist. Your newest book is The Death of Death. You published it first in Spanish, 2019, La Muerta de la Muerta. Now we have it in German too, Der Sieg über den Tod. And what you say is, what the book is all about is it tells us about the scientific possibilities and which is very interesting, also the moral defense of immortality. This is very interesting. I think I can say that you and your fellows, they are posting that aging is a disease which can be cured. Jose, can I give you the word?
Thank you. Thank you so much, George. And it is a pleasure to be back with you, even if virtually this time, since we met long time ago in a beautiful Lucerne, Switzerland. And in fact, it is a pleasure to talk about my favorite subject, which is immortality. And we are getting closer and closer to immortality. This is moving very fast, and my goal in life is to kill death before death kills me. So I am very motivated to kill death before death kills me. I just made a world tour with the English edition of my book, The Death of Death, and I was actually invited by the president of Argentina, Javier Milei, to his inauguration and to present my book in Buenos Aires. So I'm really excited. I not only want to kill death, I also want to kill taxes. I am a libertarian. That is why I like Switzerland so much, because Switzerland is one of the best countries in terms of tax regulations in the world. Anyway, many things are happening fast, especially in the last couple of years. For example, Saudi Arabia created the Evolution Foundation. Evolution means health plus evolution, with an original endowment of $20 billion from the Saudi Arabian royal family. And they launched last November the biggest prize in human history, a prize for $101 million for biological rejuvenation. This was with Peter Diamandis, who leads the X Prize Foundation, and they are the ones who handle all the logistics of the prize. This prize, again, incredible, the biggest prize in history. And the goal is to show biological rejuvenation, age reversal between 10 and 20 years in the year 2030. I repeat, to rejuvenate people between 10 and 20 years in the age range of 65 and 80 people that you could say that are adults, older people. Well, the goal is to rejuvenate that target people from 65 to 80 in 3 biological systems, neurological systems so that we don't get Alzheimer's, dementia, immunological systems so that we don't get killed by a virus, and also a skeletal-muscular system, which is very important for older people. So the goal, again, in 6 years for 101 million prize is to rejuvenate those 3 biological systems. I was there for the launching, I repeat, with Peter Diamandis in Riyadh, and already there are hundreds of companies, startups, universities, pharmaceuticals, hospitals competing in this prize, which will write history. Even better, will write the future of longevity. From Saudi Arabia, I went to the United Arab Emirates, to the Museum of the Future, where they were holding the Dubai Future Forum. And I presented my book in Arabic. My book also has come out in Arabic. I'll show you the cover. I don't know if you understand Arabic. I don't. But anyway, it's really interesting. This is my book in Arabic. And we were discussing that aging is a technical problem that will have a technical solution. And we will make death optional by 2045. Also, we organize around the planet International Longevity Day, which is October 1st. So maybe you can organize something also in Switzerland next October 1st. I did a big manifestation, a march that began in this famous place in Madrid. That is the city hall of Madrid. It's called the Cibeles Palace. That is where Real Madrid celebrates. You know, the best soccer team, football team in the planet, Real Madrid, they celebrate there. And that's the City Hall of Madrid. So we began our march for longevity there in October 1st. Then we had balloons also to get people excited, balloons, T-shirts, a lot of information. We went also to the local government, to the Congress of Spain, and we finished the march at the European Parliament office in Madrid. So we have taken this to the highest political levels of Spain, and other people are doing the same in other countries. So you should also do something on October 1st. And I also organized the biggest immortality conference in Los Angeles, California. You are all welcome to come. It's in Anaheim, where Disneyland is located in greater Los Angeles area, September 5 to 8. And you will see the leading experts of the planet on rejuvenation technologies. As George said, I was born in Venezuela when Venezuela was rich and democratic, and Spain was poor and a dictatorship in the Franco dictatorship. Now it is the opposite. Now Spain is relatively wealthy, relatively democratic, while Venezuela is a horrible tyranny, a horrible communist dictatorship, and the country has become very, very poor, even though it has more oil than Saudi Arabia. Horrible disaster in Venezuela. That, by the way, means Piccola Venezia. Venezuela means Piccola Venezia in old Spanish. And just like the real Venice is also sinking, is sinking the whole country like Venezia. But anyway, I live in Madrid now after going to MIT in the USA, and I began working on the energy industry, but I have moved now to the longevity industry, which is growing very, very fast. When I began working in the energy industry 40 years ago, it was the biggest industry in the world. The biggest companies, all energy related companies. Now they are all technology companies. But in 20 years, they will be longevity companies, longevity, health, rejuvenation companies. So I don't know what you do, and I don't care. If you are not into longevity, you are not into the future. I also lead the Millennium Project for Spain and Latin America. We are a group of futurists throughout the planet, originally working with the United Nations University, but now we are independent and we talk about the global grand challenges and we make reports about the future of humanity. In that report that you can see about the year 2050, we talk about 3 scenarios for the planet in 2050. In one of those scenarios, we have cure aging. We no longer die of aging in one scenario. And we presented this at the United Nations and many other places. So people are beginning to hear for the first time that immortality is possible. And in fact, it is very close. I also coordinated another report about Latin America in the year 2030. And I presented that in Switzerland at the World Economic Forum, Davos. So even people in Switzerland and business people are understanding that these are real possibilities. And I was there with a Nobel Prize winner in literature, Mario Vargas Llosa, who is interested in longevity, interested because he's in his middle 80s and now he's looking for his 4th wife in his middle 80s. When I was George, with you in Lucerne for the Futurist Conference, I was one of the founding faculty of Singularity University. That began in the year 2009. I was in Silicon Valley with Singularity University for the first 5 years, and then I moved to Madrid, where I have been living in the last 10 years. Singularity University was created at NASA in Silicon Valley with the support of Google and other companies like Cisco, Autodesk, and many others. And we talk about exponential technologies and the idea of the singularity that was popularized by my friend, an engineer professor from MIT also, Ray Kurzweil. Ray Kurzweil in the year 2005 wrote this famous book called The Singularity is Near. And it's going to happen in 2045. So those dates are not mine. They are actually from Ray Kurzweil, who is also director of engineering at Google. So he also works at Google and he talks about exponential change. The idea of the singularity has become so popular that people now know the year 2045. And as you can see in the Time magazine cover, 2045, the year man becomes immortal. But not only men will be immortal, also women will be immortal. Anyone who doesn't want to die. Why? Because technology is changing exponentially faster. Things are smaller, cheaper, and better. And so we are moving from the world of the past that was local and linear into the world of the future, which is exponential and global. And things are happening faster and faster. Until the 18th century, there was no economic growth in the planet. We were caught in the Malthusian trap because of the British economist Malthus. Malthus said that humanity was condemned to poverty, to hunger, because we were many people and not enough resources. And it was true until the 18th century, when the Industrial Revolution began in England. And the Industrial Revolution actually let us produce more and more with less and less, more and more with less and less. And so the planetary economy grew 100% in the 19th century, and then 400% in the 20th century. And in this century, the world economy will probably grow thousands percent, thousands. We don't know how much, but it is already incredible in the first 2 decades of the 21st century. And again, it all began in the United Kingdom under the Industrial Revolution. And the UK took 58 years for the first time in human history to double its income per capita. 58 years, the first time. Now, in 7 years, we can double the income like China is doing in only 7 years. So we have learned incredibly fast how to advance, how to progress. On the other hand, demographics are becoming stabilized. The world population is stabilizing. It is not, as it was said before, overpopulation, too many people. No, the population of the planet is stabilizing, and it is already declining in many countries. The population in China is declining. Every year now, China loses about 5 Switzerlands per year disappear in the population of China. It's a demographic disaster, demographic implosion in China. But not only China, Russia, Japan, Korea, also Spain, Italy, and Germany, the populations are beginning to decline. What is good, though, is economic growth continues and continues exponentially. If you look at that table, look at the vertical axis, how the world economy in the last 2 centuries has been growing exponentially. First, about $1,000 per person per year until the Malthusian trap, until the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, and then from $1,000 to $10,000 per person per year to 100,000, like Switzerland. Switzerland is in the top of the wealthiest countries, but not just Switzerland. There are many other countries. Ireland, where I am right now for a conference, Ireland actually also is over $100,000 per person per year. Even though Ireland was a very poor country 2 years ago, it was the country of famines, hunger. Anyway, so this is happening throughout the planet. China, India, even Africa are beginning to grow. It's incredible. You can see this also in the stock market, like in the Dow Jones Industrial Index. It has been growing exponentially for over 2 centuries. As you can see, the Dow Jones Index, look at the vertical scale, is a truly exponential growth. And this will continue. The economy is growing exponentially, even though the population is stabilizing and beginning to decline in many countries. And we are also moving into a world of abundance. We are leaving behind scarcity, which was the economics of the past, and we are moving into a world of abundance that Malthus could never imagine. He lived in the world of scarcity, but now we are moving into abundance. Also, in life expectancy, if you look at the life expectancy, at the time of the Roman Empire, the life expectancy was about 25 years of age. Average life expectancy, 25. Then it took centuries until we hit 50. And now we are reaching 80. And soon we are going to reach 100 years of life expectancy. But look how fast it is growing in the last few years. And the most important thing, if you look at the colors on top, red on top, is education. That is why we are growing and learning and creating and imagining, because for the first time, we are learning and using all this education. When we died at age 25, there was no education at that time. Anyway, so even life expectancy is beginning to grow exponentially. And there is a big difference between linear and exponential change. If I give 30 linear steps, each step of 1 meter. After 30 steps, I have walked 30 meters. But if I walk exponentially and I double 30 times, after 30 doublings, I have walked over 1 billion meters. And I have gone around planet Earth 26 times. This is incredible, the power of exponential change. However, we think linearly. So it is hard for us to understand this exponential advance of technology. And I like to give the example, when I went to MIT over 40 years ago, I used this primitive technology, the punch cards, IBM punch cards. This was about 1K of memory, different sizes, but this one, 10 by 100. 10 by 100 makes 1,000, 1,000, 1K, 1K. And once you made holes, you could not change it. So the first electromagnetic memories were created. I have a real example here, the first generation, 8 inches big, 8 inches. And it was also 1K, 1K. But this 1K electromagnetic was better because you could erase it. But in Spanish, 1K is 1K. So this is one mechanic K, and this is one electromagnetic K. But 1K and 1K makes 1 kaka, 1 kaka of memory when I was at MIT, 1 kaka. But from kaka, you know, we moved into this other floppy disk. This was 512 kakas. And then we moved into this. This is already 1.4 mega. But now I have a pen drive here of 1 terabyte, 1 terabyte. So in 40 years, since I went to university, we went from kaka to tera. So what do you think is going to happen in the next 20 years? Because this continues, this technological advance continues exponentially. In 20 years, you are going to remember me and remember kaka. But this 1 terabyte will be kaka in 20 years. 1 terabyte will be kaka, and it will be connected in our brains. And we will have access to internet, to the cloud, to all human knowledge directly from our brain. Now this is happening in biology, in medicine, this exponential change. And it began with the sequence of the human genome in 1990. It took 13 years from 1990 to 2003 to sequence the first human genome. And it was over $1 billion. 13 years, $1 billion. Today, in 2024, you can sequence your genome for over $100 in one day. This is incredible. And soon it will be $10 in 1 hour. This keeps advancing exponentially and faster than kaka. You know, if you thought that kaka was impressive, what is happening in medicine is more impressive than kaka. So this is moving very, very fast in biology. So let me show you my human genome, the partial sequence, so that you don't know everything about me, just a little bit. But once you sequence your genome, you will know which diseases you will have. It's fantastic. If you are going to have cancer, Alzheimer's, you will find out according to your genome. So you will know what you will die of in the future so that you don't die of that. Because the medicine of the future will be curative. It will be preventive. So we are moving into a very advanced medical world. Also, when you sequence your genome, you can see where your parents come from. This is my paternal line, my father's ancestors. As you can see from Spain, but I have a little bit of Asian from Mongolia. And if you look at the lower right, you will see famous people connected to my father, Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan. So I have a little bit of Genghis Khan, so don't mess around with me. This is on my father's side. Let me show you my mother's side, my maternal line. Also from Spain, but I have a little bit of French as well. And you can see famous people related to my mother on the bottom right, Marie Antoinette. So I have a very good pedigree between Genghis Khan and Marie Antoinette. All of you will know your genome and your ancestors when you sequence your genome, and you will be able to verify for the first time if your father is really your father. But more interesting than looking into the past is looking into the future. And we are going to design our children. Sadly, we are the last generation that has not been designed, but we will design now our children. Like in this experiment that I did with one of my students at Singularity University, we shared genes to see which ones could be better for the children. This is a theoretical experiment, okay? Theoretical experiment to choose which biological characteristics you want. So this is fantastic. We will design our children and also redesign ourselves very soon. Because at the end, we are only humans, 3 GB of data. We think we are very complex and complicated, but no, the human genome is 3 GB of data. If you remember this pen drive is 1 TB. How many gigabytes fit here? Here in this pen drive of 1 TB, I can fit 333 humans and a little cat. So imagine we are not that big, we are not that complicated, and we are only data. We are information. In the year 2000, a new discipline, a new field started that we call synthetic biology. And scientists were able to design a virus, an artificial virus for the first time in 2000. In 2010, scientists advanced and moved from designing viruses to bacteria. Bacteria are bigger, more complex. And we are continuing designing and redesigning life forms. And by the year 2045, we will be able to redesign human beings, to augment human beings. Because remember, we are not that complex. We are only 3 GB of biological information. About 20 years ago, I went to visit Sir Arthur C. Clarke, that is very famous for books and movies like Space Odyssey 2001. He is also known among futurists for the 3 laws of the future. And he said, first law of the future, when a famous scientist says that something is possible, he's probably right. But when he says it is impossible, he's probably wrong. Second law of the future, the only way of discovering the limits of the possible is to venture past those limits into the impossible. And third law, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. So we are living in a world of magic. We are going to see magic in the next few years. 30 years ago, personal computers were becoming popular. 20 years ago, mobile phones, cell phones were becoming popular. 10 years ago, companies like Google, Facebook, and others became truly global. But what will happen in the next 10, 20, 30 years? And remember, changes are not linear, they are exponential. So we are going to see magic in the next few years, exponential changes, including immortality, which has been the biggest dream of humanity since the beginning, The first book ever written by humans was the Epic of Gilgamesh. And the Epic of Gilgamesh, about 5,000 years old in cuneiform writing in Mesopotamia, was about immortality. Probably the second oldest book, the Book of the Dead of the pharaohs of Egypt, was also about immortality. In China, Emperor Qin Shi Huang, who built the Terracotta Army, he was looking for immortality. And obviously the Spanish. When the Spanish discovered or rediscovered the America, they were looking for the fountain of youth, eternal life. All cultures the Spanish, the Chinese, the Mesopotamians, the Egyptians. We have been looking for immortality since we know of human history. Also, religions, all religions talk about immortality. The Bible says clearly, the last enemy that shall be destroyed is death. And religions also think about killing death, but they say in another time, in another place. And now science can say here and now. Here and now we can become immortal. We just came from the COVID pandemic. If you look at the number one risk factor of the COVID pandemic was age. Age was the main risk factor. So, but not just COVID. And COVID was a caca pandemic. COVID was a tiny, tiny pandemic in human history, a very small pandemic, but it paralyzed humanity for 2 years. A caca pandemic, which is an irony. If you look at other big pandemics like the Black Death, the bubonic plague in Europe, it killed 1 out of every 3 Europeans. 1 out of every 3 died under the Black Death. That was really a big pandemic, not this caca pandemic of COVID. However, if a caca pandemic of COVID stopped the world for 2 days and 2 years, imagine all of us are dying. We are infected by the virus of aging. All of us are dying. And now we can see that we will soon cure aging. So that really has to stop the planet. We need to think that if COVID paralyzed 2 years the planet for nothing, imagine aging. We are all aging. For all diseases, check all diseases, the number one risk factor is age. Age for influenza, for cancer, heart attacks, Alzheimer. So aging is the problem. The problem is not cancer, it's not Alzheimer's. The problem is aging. That is the number one problem. Because today, we are really moving from a sick care system to a health care system where aging is the center. Aging is the mother of all chronic diseases. If we stop aging, we stop cancer, heart attacks, and many other things, chronic diseases. So the problem is aging. This is the enemy. Also, we have different lifespans for different animals. Even among mammalians and mammals, we share 90% of the genome. 90% of the genome of a little mouse or a huge whale is the same. And the mouse lives 2 years and the whale lives 200 years. So how can it be that we have animals that live between 2 and 200 years? Scientists are discovering the reasons now, and we are going to use this to live longer and longer and longer. So 5 years ago, my fantastic co-author, David Wood, who is a science doctor from Cambridge, England, and me, who studied in Cambridge, Massachusetts, we decided to write this book about the biggest problem of humanity, which is aging and death. In advanced countries like Switzerland, like Europe, 90% of the people, 90% die of age-related diseases. We die of age-related diseases, which are neurological diseases, cancer, and other diseases, heart attacks, etc. 90% of the people, we don't get these diseases when we are 20 because we are not old at that time. So, but in advanced countries, 90%. I say this because that means that only 10% of the people die of everything else. It is true that there are many things. There are still infections, there is still AIDS, there is still maybe COVID, and then there are the Russians, climate change, the Chinese, if you care, maybe even the extraterrestrials. But all of those things don't kill more than 10%. 90% of us die of age-related diseases. So if we want to do something important, what we need to do is to cure aging that kills 90% of the population of advanced countries. When the book was published, it immediately moved to #1 and #5 simultaneously. #1 in paper and #5 in Kindle electronic version. We are donating the book rights to two foundations, one in the USA, the Sense Research Foundation, and one in Spain, Padrina la Ciencia, which is for children to go into science careers. So when you get the book, you are contributing to science, and so that you don't die, that I don't die, that no one dies. The book has been a global bestseller, is now in 12 languages and coming into 10 more languages in the future. So it is in German with a different title. They changed the title to The Victory Over Death, Der Sieg über den Tod, or Chinese. Chinese, they don't like the word death or death, so it is called Eternal Life. If you look at the book there, it has two characters. The first one is eternal, the second one, life. Eternal life is more positive than death. In any event, so now we are covering the 3 major languages of the planet, and then other important languages like German, French, Portuguese, Turkish, Arabic. As I mentioned, I'm very proud that the book is in Arabic also. And now China is important because China began declining last year. Last year was peak China. And now the population is declining, and China is losing several Switzerlands per year of people. It's a horrible demographic implosion. China, by the end of the century, might be not #1, not even #2, but #3, because Nigeria is growing still very fast. Anyway, Spain also is aging very fast. And right now, the trends are that Spain will be the most longevous country in the world, overtaking Japan, which is right now, and then Switzerland also. But Spain is, because of the Mediterranean diet and many other things, life expectancy keeps on increasing in Spain. So this is a big issue in Spain. And that is why I ran to be a member of the European Parliament in the election 8 days ago. On June 9, I was a Spanish candidate to the European Parliament. I got 6,000 votes, which is not bad because I don't know 6,000 people in Madrid. But this is just the beginning. And my idea is to change the old name of Spain. When Spain was the end of the Roman Empire on the West, Spain was the country of non plus ultra, nothing far beyond. Spain was the end. But then when we discovered America, we changed it to plus ultra, far beyond, a new world far beyond. But my goal is to change it to Vita plus ultra, life far beyond. Because Spain is doing a lot of research, a lot of advances in longevity. And we are beginning to say that aging is a disease, but a curable disease that we can cure very soon. In the last 2 decades, we have been able to multiply by 2 life expectancy of mice, by 2. Mice that live 2 years, 2.5 years. Now we have mice that live 5 years. So the equivalent of almost 200 human years. The same with mosquitoes. We have mosquitoes that live 400 human years, and worms, little worms that live 1,000 human years equivalent. Incredible. Also, we know today that there are immortal cells, and cancer cells are immortal cells. This was discovered in 1951 with a person called Henrietta Lacks, who died at age 31. She was born in 1920, and she died in 1951. And after 31 years, the doctors, the scientists analyzed her cancer, and they discovered for the first time that cancer cells do not age. They grow, they reproduce, and they don't age. And now today, Scientists call them biologically immortal. Biologically immortal. Why biologically immortal? Because they do not age and they could live indefinitely. These famous cells, HeLa, because of Henrietta Lacks, are already 104 years old because she was born in 1920. Even though she died, her cancer cells are alive, young, and reproducing. They reproduce like teenagers, even though they have over 100 years. So we know immortality already exists, and cancer cells discover immortality. And cancer cells did not go to Cambridge University or to MIT, and they discovered immortality. So it is not that difficult to discover immortality because cancer cells did it without even know how to read or write. So you don't need to read and write to discover immortality like cancer did. But not only cancer cells are immortal, also the best cells in the human body, which are the reproductive cells, the germ cells that all of us have, germ cells also do not age, and they are called biologically immortal. That doesn't mean that they don't die, because the body is made basically of somatic cells. Somatic cells age and die. And when we die, because we are basically somatic cells, our germ cells in our bodies, the reproductive cells, they die because the body dies. The same with cancer. When the body dies, cancer dies because there is no more food for cancer. But cancer and germ cells do not age. They do not age and they could live indefinitely. Also, we have discovered small animals like hydras and some jellyfish that do not age. They are biologically immortal. Biology already discovered immortality in multiple ways, not just one way, in different ways. So when people tell me immortality is impossible, I say, how is it impossible? It already exists. Biology discovered immortality, and we are going to rediscover it. And the most beautiful thing, the first life forms of the planet, bacteria with round chromosomes, also do not age. Life appeared to live, not to die. The purpose of life is to live, not to die. And that is why the first life forms in the planet, bacteria with round chromosomes, do not age, do not age. All of these ideas were explained by my dear friend, Aubrey de Grey, who wrote the prologue of my book, Aubrey de Grey, but he was called a charlatan. In the year 2005, my university, MIT Technology Review, the most famous magazine in technology from my alma mater, called him a charlatan, that he was crazy, that this was impossible. Then, 14 years later, MIT Technology Review changed its mind and apologized. As you can see the cover in 2018, old age is over if you want it. This is a radical change of mentality of what is possible and impossible, even at MIT. A famous German philosopher, Arthur Schopenhauer, actually talked about this, that all truth goes through three stages. First stage, it is ridicule. Second stage, it is violently opposed. And third, it is accepted as being self-evident. I am sure that in the year 2045, when we look to the past, to today, to the year 2024, we will remember how primitive we are today, how barbaric we are today, that we let people die today, when we are so close to curing aging. So today we live in a primitive world where talking about this is being ridiculed and opposed. But again, I repeat, in 2045, we will finally cure aging. My friend Ray Kurzweil from Singularity University and from MIT, he talks about the three bridges to immortality. One bridge in the 2010s that takes us to the second bridge now in the 2020s with the first biotechnology therapies that takes us on to the third bridge with nanotechnology. And then finally, in the 2040s, with artificial intelligence and nanotechnology, we will cure aging. And better, we will reverse aging. Reverse. So it doesn't matter how old you are in 2045, because we will have the technology to be young again. This is in his book, Fantastic Voyage, which has a beautiful subtitle, Live Long Enough to Live Forever. Ray Kurzweil now is publishing the continuation to his book, The Singularity is Near. It is coming out in exactly 1 week, so you can pre-order it now. I have read the manuscript twice. I should be in the acknowledgements of the book, by the way. And Ray Kurzweil talks about the singularity is nearer, because many things have happened in the last 20 years. However, he keeps his two magic dates, 2029 and 2045. There is a technological convergence of all the main technologies, nano, bio, info, and cogno. As you can see in that chart, nano and bio on top are the hardware of life, hardware. And on the bottom, info and cogno are the software of life. And we are going to become immortal twice, not once, twice. Our hardware will become immortal, and our software will become immortal. We will be able to read our minds and upload it to the cloud, to internet. So we will be not only biologically immortal, we will also be computationally immortal. And two things will happen. In 2029, we should pass the Alan Turing test. That means that you will not be able to recognize if you are talking to a human or to a machine. In 2029, I think it's going to happen earlier, but just in case, 2029. Also, we will reach longevity escape velocity by 2029 to 2030, which means we will gain 1 year per year we survive. So we get 1 year, 1 year more, 1 year more, 1 year more, and that will make us basically immortal, but still aging until 2045, when we will have biological rejuvenation. That is immortality and also the singularity. Those 2 dates, 2029 and 2045. All companies in Silicon Valley are beginning to understand that this is real. Like Google. Google says that death is a technical problem and death will have a technical solution. We will solve the death problem. But not only Google. Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook, he's donated all his fortune, well, 99% of its fortune, to cure all diseases, including aging. They consider aging a disease, and we will cure it in this generation. Microsoft also, now that we have sequenced the genome, we are going to solve cancer. We are going to cure cancer, and we are going to learn about how to stop aging, how to become immortal, also thanks to cancer. And Tim Cook and Apple, he says that the biggest contribution of Apple will be about health. And it is just beginning. The biggest contribution is not iPhones, Macintosh, or any of that. No, it's health in the future. And the richest man in the planet, Jeff Bezos, he created a company with other billionaires to cure aging. This company is called Altos Labs because it is in Los Altos, California. And the goal is to cure aging. And they began with $3 billion, which is a lot of money. Why? Because this will be the biggest industry in the planet in the next 20 years. We are talking about trillions and trillions of dollars. And that is why Facebook, Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, they are all going into longevity, the biggest industry in the next 20 years. This began as a small experiment with millions of dollars. Now it is in the order of billions. In 20 years, it will be in the order of trillions, the biggest industry in the history of humanity. Also, there is a very positive side, which is called the longevity dividend. If we stay young, We are more productive. There are no medical expensive therapies, and there are no pensions. In the future, there will be no pensions because we will stay at a biological age of 20 to 25. So forget about medical expenditures, forget about pensions. We are moving into a world of abundance with a lot of resources. And as I mentioned, I was so excited in Saudi Arabia for this foundation that created the biggest prize in human history, biological rejuvenation by 2030, which coincides with Ray Kurzweil and longevity escape velocity by 2030. We are going to see it in 6 years. Also, I invited to Spain 2 years ago the Nobel Prize of 2012, Shinya Yamanaka, who discovered that we can rejuvenate cells. You can see that this is not a joke. In 2012, the Nobel Prize was given for cell rejuvenation. Shinya Yamanaka discovered that there are genes that you can modify to age faster. I don't recommend aging faster or even stop aging. What I recommend is to rejuvenate, to reverse aging. And Shinya Yamanaka is working on that. In fact, he's an advisor to Jeff Bezos and his company Altos Labs. So we are very close. We know we can rejuvenate cells, and now we can rejuvenate organs. David Sinclair and his team at Harvard have been able to rejuvenate for the first time organs. They moved from cells to full organs, and they rejuvenated eyes, the eyes of blind mice, mice that were about 80 years old. They were rejuvenated to age 20, the eye. So the mice could see again with their own eyes being rejuvenated from age 80 to age 20, equivalent human years. So I plan to be younger in the future, and not because of a Russian app like Face app. No, no. I plan to be younger because the goal is biological rejuvenation, and this is moving fast. But we have to think about the future. We have to meditate, to think all the possibilities. I love meditation. And also, I like Chinese culture, as I mentioned. The Chinese say that there is yin and yang, but this is so complex that even inside, yin yang has little yin yang, and little yin yang has little yin yang. This is very complex, and there is always the dark side of the force, the dark side of the force. And you can see it in the world at night. This is the famous picture by NASA. And the Chinese say, don't blame darkness. Instead, light up a candle. And this is what I want to do. The problem is not the obscurity, the darkness. The problem is that we need to illuminate the world. We need to light up candles. We have to illuminate, because I also have gone to Korea, but also North Korea. North Korea is the darkest place on earth. It's horrible. It's the last country in the planet that has no public internet in the planet.
Jose, we are almost running out of time. Would you agree if we stop here the presentation? Maybe there are some questions from the audience. Yes. Would you agree?
I have 2 minutes, basically. This is my favorite Chinese phrase, which means crisis, that has 2 characters. The first one is danger, and the second one, opportunity. So we are going to move into a world of opportunity. We are between the last mortal generation and the first immortal generation. So let me welcome you to Los Angeles to meet the scientists working on this and read The Death of Death in any language you like. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Jose. I think we are all aware now that you're a true enthusiast about longevity, immortality, and you gave us a lot of arguments. I'm sure that there are some questions. I see uploading hands. Could you stop the yes, so we can look at the people. Is there any question among our people here. Let me start. Let me
I
start.
can add one. I mean,
Okay. Yes,
if you want to.
please.
So,
Yes, yes, yes.
hello. Thank you very much. Great presentation, Jose. My name is Antonis. I'm coming from the pharma industry, so I coming from the scientific part as well. But I don't want to ask you the scientific part. It's the scientific part and the technological part is clear. This will come sooner or later to us. It's great. The question is the social part, because I'm not sure how these technological advancements, whatever happens, is spread across the world, how you see this, and how our old processes of how we deal with socially, I mean, as humans, with situations, can deal with all those extreme advances happening. So just a comment from your side. Thank you. Great thing.
Yeah, Anthony. Well, first of all, you need to read The Death of Death or Der Sieg über den Tod. And I explained those because the book has two parts. The first part is the scientific possibility of physical immortality and its moral defense, which is basically your point, your question. So let me try to give two quick answers. I talked about COVID. COVID was a caca pandemic, a tiny pandemic in human history, a pitiful pandemic, but it paralyzed the planet for 2 days. And all of us are dying. All of us are aging. This really has to paralyze the planet. Also, COVID vaccines cost billions, maybe trillions of dollars to develop. But to the user, to the consumer, they were given free. And also, I don't even think COVID vaccines were that good. In the future, they will be better and we will develop them even faster. But the COVID operation was incredible to develop vaccines in less than 1 year. We will do this in the future, even faster, because now artificial intelligence will help us. And the cost will be billions and trillions. But for the consumer, for the person, they were given free. And the same will be with the anti-aging therapies. They will be free. They will be given to all the people in all the world, in China, in Africa, in India, in Latin America, because if they were not free, there would be a revolution the following day, because all of us are dying, and this is for sure. COVID, very few people died in historic terms, but it changed the way we think about health. And this is the other issue. This is about health. It's not truly about immortality, but of course, if we are healthy and young, you will probably want to continue living. So it is about health. It is about curing cancer. It is about curing Alzheimer's. It is about curing heart attacks. So that is the other issue. Think about health. And all of us want to cure cancer, right? All of us want to cure Alzheimer's. So we should want to cure aging, because aging is the mother of all these diseases. One more thing.
That's a good point. You know, that the diseases of aging we would like to eliminate. But when we think it socially further, do you think in this scenario, if we are all immortal, will we still have children? Because, you know, of what use would it be? And do we have the boundaries, the planetary boundaries? Are they big enough to have children? I think, why should we have children if we stay young forever?
Yes, this is a very important question. And if you look at the birth rates are declining very fast throughout the planet already now in some countries. And the younger people, they don't even want to have children. They want to be themselves. They want to reinvent themselves. They want to be their own children. So I think this is a real possibility. Not only the population of the planet is stabilizing and declining in some places, but we think differently than older generations. In the past, it was normal to have 10 children in families. Now, it's normal 1 child, maybe 2 children. So the way we think is radically changing. I don't know what will happen in the future in terms of procreation, but I also think we will be our own children. We will modify ourselves. We will do many other things. And what is important, also, we will be colonizing the solar system. And this is exciting. You know, we will go to Mars, we will go to the moon. There is an universe, a real universe waiting for us outside. So many new things to learn. That is why we need more people. But the problem is we don't have more people. The population, as I said, is stabilizing and soon to decline.
Marcel, I think you had a question, Marcel.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, thank you for that, may I say, Latin enthusiasm that you make your point. It's just great. I love it. Apart from some meager doubts about the technical feasibility, I see, I mean, the overpopulation, you kind of answered that already. I'm not sure if it's going to be like that, but it might be. But another point more to the side of Antonis, to the clash of values. I mean, transhumanism is right now incompatible with some social values, especially the religious afterlife and work as a virtue and so on. How do you think we can deal with that as a society?
Well, I think everything will change radically, including marriage. Marriage will change. You know, normally we say today, until death do us apart. But if you don't have to die, I guarantee you that 90% of the people will not want to be with a single partner for 1 million years. I don't think that that will happen. And we can see the trends already. Marriages are shorter. There is a lot more divorce. People actually are married until the children grow up. Also, if you don't have children, then you might not even want to be together with one person more than 10 years. Well, my answer is I don't know what will happen, but society is changing radically. And even more now that we are going to hit artificial general intelligence. I am convinced that this is happening very soon. We will pass the Alan Turing test. In fact, read Ray Kurzweil's new book, The Singularity is Nearer, that just comes out in a few days. And you will see what he says about this. And we need to merge with the artificial general intelligence. As Elon Musk says also, if you cannot beat your enemy, join it. And artificial general intelligence will be millions of times more intelligent, millions, not 10% or 100%. It's not like we are going to have Einstein, you and maybe join with Einstein. Einstein is a donkey, or Newton compared as a stupid person compared to artificial general intelligence. So there is no way an unenhanced human can compete with an enhanced human or just with artificial general intelligence. And I think we will incorporate technology. We incorporate technology. This is technology. I incorporate into me. This clothes is technology. I incorporate into me. This, I have one of these rings to monitor my health. I incorporate it into me. So we will continue and we will incorporate artificial general intelligence because it will make us more intelligent. And I think people will want to be more intelligent. I don't know many people who want to be more stupid. But I do know a lot of people who want to be more intelligent, who want to be with intelligent people, like this futurist group, right? You want to be with intelligent people. You want your children to be intelligent, and so on and so forth. So I am not afraid about artificial intelligence. In fact, I love it. What I am afraid is about human stupidity. Human stupidity worries me a lot, and we are very stupid still now. So if we can become more intelligent, I am going for that.
We are over time. Jose, thank you very much for this speech and your arguments. I think what I've learned, I doubt certain things. I have certain different values, but what I learned is you really have a new framework of thinking about certain things, about humankind, about intelligence, about technology, which is really in the sense of this series that we have. We want to give impulses, ideas, and I think this was a great addition. Thank you very much, Jose, and La Muerta de la Muerta.
One final comment. Remember, we are truly, I believe, between the last mortal generation and the first immortal generation. So it is not good to die now. Well, it is never good to die, but certainly not now that we are so close to immortality. And the final tip, those who read The Death of Death will not die. If you read the book, you will not die, guaranteed, or your money back.
Okay. Or your money back. Yes, that's good. Good. Thank you. Thank you for being with us, our guests here, and I hope to see you the next time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Great. Thank you.